At 6 months pregnant, my MIL pushed me down the stairs since I picked my daughter's name. Alter it, she yelled. That's when I ended her access forever. You think you know what a nightmare mother-in-law looks like. Trust me, you haven't seen anything until you hear how mine tried to erase me, literally all because I picked a name for my child. The day she pushed me down a flight of stairs while I was 6 months pregnant, that was just the terrifying beginning of a twisted war for my daughter's future. It all started when I was 6 months pregnant. My mother-in-law, Karen, cornered me at the top of her stairs. She'd been making these snide remarks all night, hinting about baby names, but I just deflected. I knew she wouldn't like my answer. My husband, Ryan, and I had already chosen Sophia, after my incredible grandmother who raised me. There was no going back. We're naming her Sophia, I told her. The name hit her like a physical blow. Not Karen, but Sophia, she scoffed, repeating it as if it tasted foul. Then the waterworks started. For me, the name is everything. Ryan was in my arms for 8 months. After his father left, I raised him alone. I sacrificed everything for that boy. And you can't even give me this one thing. I tried to reason with her. Karen, it's not personal. It's my granny's name. Her laugh was chilling, devoid of any humor. Your grandmother? Some woman I've never known is more important than the woman who made your husband. I didn't mean that, I stammered, instantly regretting it. Then what do you mean? Her voice rose, dangerously high-pitched. Because it sounds like you're saying I'm unimportant. That you don't value the sacrifices of the past 30 years. I could feel the sweat beading on my forehead. Let's talk about this later, when you've calmed down, I pleaded, trying to back away. But I was trapped. The stairs were right behind me. Calm down, she shrieked, moving closer. You're standing in my house, telling me my name isn't good enough for your disgusting baby, and I need to calm down? Do you know what I believe? Since the day you met Ryan, I believe you've been trying to get rid of me. You want him all to yourself. You want to get rid of me entirely. That's not true, Karen, I insisted, my voice tight with fear. I hope you can appreciate my point of view. Her eyes were glacial, completely unlike anything I'd ever seen. Then demonstrate it. Change the name. You can't ask me to do that, Karen. Incorrect response, she spat. Before I could even blink, her hand was on my chest. A forceful shove. I lost my balance, instantly, tumbling backward. My brain screamed one thing: keep the baby safe. My arms wrapped instinctively around my belly as my hips slammed against the stairs. The air left my lungs in a whoosh. I lay there, crumpled at the bottom, looking up at the blur of shocked faces. For a split second, I saw Karen at the top, arms still outstretched, a look of grim satisfaction on her face. Then it vanished. She came rushing down, tears streaming. Oh God! Oh God! She slipped. I tried to catch her. Someone call 911. Ryan pushed through the crowd, dropping to his knees beside me. Are you all right, baby? Can you move? Is the baby okay? Karen was right there, already spinning her tail. She was screaming that I couldn't handle it, that she was scared and trying to help. Ryan, I choked out, tears stinging my eyes. She pushed me. She gave me a shove. Karen's sobbing stopped. She looked at me like a wounded animal. Do you hear her, Ryan? Do you hear what she's saying about me? Her voice became frantic. I'd never harm my grandchild. I tried to catch her. She's confused. She hit her head. Ryan, she doesn't know what she's saying. Silence. Ryan just looked between us, his world collapsing. Mom, just give her some room. Karen burst into tears again, collapsing onto the couch. The ambulance arrived. Ryan held my hand the whole way to the hospital, asking if I was okay, telling me everything would be fine. But his eyes, they held a terrible doubt. At the hospital, after what felt like an eternity, we got the best news. The baby was okay. I sobbed with relief, gasping for air. Ryan cried too. Then he asked me what really happened. He kept muttering, "Thank God." And for a moment I thought, okay, he believes me now. He sees his mother for who she truly is. I told him again, every detail, but then his silence stretched, heavy and long. My stomach sank. "The name made her angry," he finally said, his voice soft. "She wouldn't physically harm you, I know that. You probably just lost your balance." "She pushed me, Ryan." "Her hand was on my chest," I insisted. He squeezed my hand, a gesture meant to reassure, but it felt patronizing. "You just went through something horrible. You're exhausted. Maybe her reaching for you got twisted in your head." It was in his eyes. He needed this to be untrue. He needed his mother to remain the woman he believed her to be. I was so tired. The baby's strong heartbeat echoed through the room. My hip ached. I just wanted it all to end. Maybe it happened fast, I conceded, my voice flat. Maybe I wasn't totally sure what I felt. Ryan kissed my forehead. His body visibly relaxed. "Let's just focus on the baby," he said. I didn't have the strength to make him see something he was trying so desperately to ignore. So I let him believe it. That night, lying awake in the hospital, hand on my belly, I replayed it over and over. Her palm flat on my chest, that half second of nothing beneath my feet. I knew what I felt. And I knew Karen was at home, calling every family member, rehearsing her version until it sounded like the absolute truth. I had maybe 10 hours before her lie became everyone's reality. By morning, Karen's narrative had taken hold. My phone blew up with text from people I barely knew, asking if I was feeling better after my fall, if I was getting help for my emotional difficulties. Another cousin said Karen had called her at midnight, sobbing, expressing such concern for me and the baby. They weren't worried that she'd shoved me. They were worried about me. I needed to hear Karen's exact words. So I called Ryan's aunt. "Oh, honey," she cooed. "She's just so concerned about you." That poor woman was crying, saying she didn't know what she'd done wrong. She said, "You've been hormonal and erratic your whole pregnancy. That Ryan's been struggling with your mood swings for months, and she's just been trying to help him. And then to be accused of such a terrible crime in her own house." A little TSK. "Do you think you're stable enough to be a mother?" "Sweetheart, she's not trying to be mean. She's just truly afraid for that baby. We all are. You know, asking for help is never a sign of weakness." My hands felt numb. My own child? She was afraid for my child? I hung up, heart pounding, and called my sister, Olivia. I rambled everything. When I finished, Olivia's voice was sharp. "Listen, Emma. If you don't get Ryan's head out of his ass before this baby is born, you will have to co-parent with that woman for 18 years. Take screenshots of every text. Document every conversation. This will only get worse." How much worse could it possibly get? I thought. I had no idea. That evening, I was ready for Ryan. "We need to talk about what your mother is telling people." He groaned, tossing his keys down. "I spoke with her today. All of this is really hurting her." My jaw dropped. "Hurting her? Ryan, she's telling your whole family I'm mentally disturbed. She told your aunt she's concerned I'm unfit to be a mother." "She didn't say that," he snapped. "She just worries about you and the stress you've been under." "What did she say to you, specifically?" He sat across from me, his face softening. I could see him falling back into her trap. "She talked about her childhood," he began, his eyes sad. "Her mom left when she was 6. Just a note, never came back. She grew up feeling invisible. She said when she had me, she finally felt like she mattered, like she existed." He reached for my hand. "Naming the baby Karen," she said, "would have meant she finally mattered enough to be remembered. She claimed that ever since we got engaged, you've been trying to push her out of the family, that you've never respected her position." "Did she mention the push?" I asked, pulling my hand away. He avoided my gaze. "She promised she'd never harm you. She said that when you started to fall, she reached for you. She said she's been thinking about it constantly and can't believe anyone would think she'd ever hurt her own grandchild. She hadn't mentioned what she actually did. Not once. Instead, she'd sobbed about her sad childhood, making him feel sorry for her. He genuinely thought she was a victim. He believed her. He had to. Because if he believed me, his entire foundation would crumble. Karen knew that. For 30 years, she had made herself the center of his universe. The self-sacrificing mother, the abandoned child. She wasn't just denying the shove. She was preventing him from seeing it, protecting his constructed reality. "I'm mentally unfit to be a mother," I whispered, barely able to breathe. "She's telling your family that. She's afraid, she says, that I'll take you away from her." I got up and walked out of the room. "You're standing up for the woman who almost took our daughter away." He got up too, grabbing his keys. "I can't do this tonight." Karen had made a mistake, but she was also strategic. She thought I'd just ignore it, keep the peace. But as I hit the bottom of those stairs, something in me changed. She wasn't dealing with the woman who married her son anymore. She was dealing with a mother. I was done waiting for someone else to believe me. If the truth was going to come out, I'd have to dig it up myself. Someone at her party had to have seen something. There was always something to see. I'd start making calls tomorrow. The next morning I did. The only person who hadn't texted me with fake concern was Ryan's cousin, Lily, who had been at the party. I took a chance and messaged her. Within 10 minutes, she called. "I was wondering when you'd reach out," she said. "I wanted to say something, but I wasn't sure if you wanted to hear from family right now." "If anyone saw what happened on those stairs, please tell me," I pleaded. There was a long silence. "I didn't see the push," she finally said. My heart sank. I felt powerless. But Lily continued. "I caught a glimpse of her face just before you fell, Emma. She didn't look surprised. She looked content, like she'd accomplished her goal. The tears started when she ran down. Relief washed over me. I wasn't insane. Would you tell Ryan that?" She laughed bitterly. "He won't believe me. They never do." "What are you saying?" "When I was 16 at a family cookout, Karen told everyone I'd stolen $200 from her purse. She was so convincing, sobbing, trembling, screaming she couldn't believe her own niece would do this. My parents believed her. They made me get a job to pay her back for money I never took, and they grounded me all summer." Her voice tightened. "If she lied about me then, lying about you now is nothing. I think she still thinks I took it." Lily sighed deeply. Once she makes up her mind something happened, it becomes real to her. It doesn't matter what the truth is. The thought of someone like that being my mother-in-law, the grandmother of my future daughter, made me sick. When Ryan came home, I showed him everything. Lily's text about Karen's facial expression, the story about the stolen money, her warning about Karen's delusions. He read it twice. His expression changed in a way I'd never seen. Not defensive, not making excuses. Just shaken. He sat there staring at his phone like it was the first time he'd ever seen his own mother. All I felt was fear. This wasn't going to end with Karen sobbing on the phone to family members. If Lily was right about her pattern, it was only going to get worse. 3 days later, my phone rang. Karen's name flashed on the screen. I don't know why I answered. Maybe I hoped for an apology. Maybe I just didn't want to give her another reason to call me difficult. "I know you've been talking to Lily," she started, dropping all pretense of politeness. I clenched my jaw. "I know you're digging around, trying to turn my own family against me." She laughed. "The truth is, you fell down the stairs and decided to blame me because you've never liked me. You're trying to steal my son from me, and I won't let that happen. I can describe the symptoms of postpartum depression, Emma, and I know exactly what CPS looks for when they receive a call about an unstable new mother." Her voice turned dark, cold. I froze. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm warning you," she purred. "You want to keep playing this game? Keep asking questions." I could almost hear the glee in her voice. "I'll call every agency. Keep turning people against me, and I will make sure you never have a moment alone with that baby. I'll speak with each physician. I'll ensure that everyone is aware of your unpredictable and suspicious behavior." She lowered her voice conspiratorially. "I've already heard from Ryan about your mood swings, your crying, your compulsive worrying." She laughed patronizingly. "Who do you think he's going to believe, sweetheart? His mother, who has loved him for 30 years, or the woman who accused her of trying to harm her grandchild?" My hands were shaking, but I wasn't backing down. "Listen to me, Karen. If you ever threaten me or my daughter again, I'll make sure Ryan hears every word you just said." She had actually said it aloud. Threatening CPS, threatening to take my baby. And she'd done it over the phone, knowing I couldn't prove it. No witnesses, no recording, just her word against mine. And if she was already considering CPS, she'd probably already laid the groundwork. She hung up. The room went silent. 3 weeks passed. Nothing. No calls, no texts, no Karen showing up at my door. While the silence should have been a relief, it only made things worse. The question wasn't if Karen was coming for my baby, but how much of a head start she already had. That thought terrified me. Every creak in the house made me jump. I tried to focus on nesting, washing tiny clothes, setting up the crib. But every time a car slowed down outside, I found myself at the window. Ryan kept saying maybe his mother was finally reflecting on what she'd done. But I saw him constantly checking his phone, waiting for something he wouldn't acknowledge he was waiting for. My sister Olivia made sure only my side of the family attended my baby shower. No one from Ryan's. Olivia squeezed my hand, telling me everything would be fine, but I knew it wasn't over. I kept watching the door, half expecting Karen to waltz in with that serene smile that signaled an imminent explosion. For weeks later, I was at my OB appointment. Something felt off from the moment I walked in. The receptionist, usually so warm, barely looked at me. She just checked me in and told me to wait. I sat there, hand on my belly, trying to figure out what was different. Maybe she was just having a bad day. But a cold voice in my head whispered, "She doesn't forgive. She doesn't forget. She just waits." My stomach was in knots when they called my name. The appointment went well. Baby was healthy, heartbeat strong. But I caught one of the nurses glancing at me, then quickly looking away when our eyes met. I must be paranoid, I thought. Then, after we were done, my doctor asked to speak with me in private. She closed the door, sat across from me, a cautious expression on her face. "I need to tell you something," she said, "and I need you to stay calm." My entire body went cold. "Is there something wrong with the baby?" "No, the baby is perfect. This is about something else." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "We've had multiple calls over the past 3 weeks from someone posing as a worried family member. They've been asking about your mental health history, whether you've shown signs of instability or paranoia during your pregnancy, if you've had any psychiatric episodes." I couldn't breathe. "What did you tell them?" "Nothing," she reassured me. "We don't give out patient information. But I wanted you to know because these calls have been persistent and specific. Whoever this is, they seem to be trying to build some sort of case." I knew exactly who it was. I didn't need to guess. "I've put a password on your file," she continued, "so no information goes to anyone, including family, without it. And I'm also recording these calls in your chart, in case you need a record later." I thanked her, my hand shaking as I left the office. Karen wasn't just talking anymore. She was taking action. The next day, my boss called me into her office, looking confused and uneasy. "I got a strange call this morning from someone claiming to be a friend of yours," she said. "They asked if you'd seemed erratic or unstable at work lately. They mentioned you were pregnant and suggested someone check on you." My jaw clenched. "Did they leave a name?" "No. They said they wanted to remain anonymous because they didn't want to upset you, but they were adamant I should be on the lookout for warning signs." She looked at me, doubt in her eyes. I told her it was a family matter and I was handling it. She nodded, but I knew Karen had planted her seeds. She only needed people to ask questions, to leave a trail of concerned calls. So if anyone looked later, they'd find a pattern of people worried about my mental health. I called Olivia on the way home, telling her everything. She listened in silence. Then, she revealed she'd been doing her own research. Ryan's aunt, the one who asked about your fall. Olivia said, Karen's been phoning her weekly, weeping about you, claiming you've been having psychotic episodes, that she's terrified for her grandchild. I had to pull over. I couldn't drive and hear this at the same time. If something happens, Olivia added, she's asking the aunt if she'd be willing to be a character witness. Karen wasn't just trying to make me look crazy. She was recruiting people, lining up witnesses for whatever she was planning. When Ryan got home, I sat him down and told him everything. The calls to my doctor, to my workplace, what his aunt told Olivia. As I spoke, his expression shifted. First bewilderment, then disbelief, and then, for the very first time, fear. She's trying to take the baby, he whispered. He pulled out his phone and called his mother. He put it on speaker. She answered on the second ring, all sweetness and light. Hello, honey. I've missed your voice. Mom, Ryan said, his voice cold. Have you been calling Emma's doctor? A long silence. Then her voice came back, different, guarded. You know your wife hasn't been stable. You've told me yourself how emotional and paranoid she's been. Ryan hung up. He sat there, staring at his pale reflection in the phone screen. I realized it then. Ryan had been venting to his mother, as usual, telling her I was tired, emotional, worried, all the normal pregnancy stuff. Karen had taken every word and turned it into ammunition. That night, Ryan went to check the mail. He came back with a single envelope addressed to me in his mother's neat handwriting, blue ink. It wasn't a call, wasn't a text, just a note. And in some ways, that was worse than any screaming. It simply said, all you had to do was name her after me. With a tiny rightward slant, enjoy these final weeks together. My hand began to shake so violently the paper rattled. Ryan grabbed it, read it, and his face went white. We didn't speak for a long time. I couldn't sleep that night. Karen had come to our house, put that envelope in our mailbox with her own hands. While we were inside living our lives, she was right there, close enough to touch our door, no longer hiding. I lay there, hand on my belly, feeling my baby's kicks, thinking about that note. At 38 weeks, on a Friday morning, my water broke in the kitchen while I was making toast. For a moment, I just stood there, staring at the puddle on the floor. This is it. Karen had made it clear she wouldn't miss the birth, and she wanted me to know she could reach me whenever she wanted. Ryan drove us to the hospital, 15 miles an hour over the speed limit. Before I could say a word, he told the nurses, my mother, Karen, is not permitted entry under any circumstances. If she shows up, call security. Don't speak to her. Don't let her speak to anyone. Just get her out. The nurse looked a little surprised by his tone, but nodded, making a note. For the first time, I felt truly supported. He took my face in his hands. She's not getting anywhere near you. I promise. I squeezed Ryan's fingers until I could feel his bones grinding together through contractions that felt like my body was tearing apart. 6 hours in, as another wave of pain gripped me, Ryan's head snapped towards the door. No, no, no. The yelling was growing louder. I couldn't make out the words at first, but I recognized the voice from down the hall. Before I could stop him, Ryan was out the door. His voice blended with Karen's as she screamed about her rights, about her grandbaby, about us keeping her away from her own family. Another contraction hit. All I could do was cling to the bed rails and try to breathe. You need to leave now, Ryan. Karen's voice was sharp. Honey, I'm just worried about the baby. You know she's not stable. You've told me yourself, she cried. I said leave. Ryan's voice was a low, dangerous rumble. I'm your mother. I have every right to be here when my grandson is born. You have no rights, his voice exploded. hard as stone. When you shoved my pregnant wife down the stairs, you lost them. I didn't shove her. She fell. Why won't anyone believe me? I've only loved this family, and now I'm being treated like a criminal. You called her doctor, her job, and CPS. Ryan roared, his voice shaking with fury. And you left a note in our mailbox telling her to enjoy her final weeks with our child. I gave up my entire life for you, Ryan. And this is how you repay me? By picking her over your own mother. Yes, I'm picking her. I'm picking my wife and my daughter. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't leave this hospital, I'll call the police myself. You're not a worried grandmother. You're a stalker. How dare you talk to me like that after everything I've given up for you? A shaken nurse reappeared. Ma'am, your husband is handling it, but she's asking to speak to a social worker. She's telling people you've threatened to hurt yourself. Despite the contraction, I actually laughed. Of course she is. 25 minutes later, a woman in a blazer entered, identifying herself as a social worker. Ryan was back in the room, utterly drained but with a determined glint in his eye. He explained everything Karen had done, from the shove to the CPS threats. I added the details about her trying to turn family and workplaces against me. The social worker listened carefully, then nodded. We'll be sure to document all of this. It sounds like you've been through quite an ordeal. She looked at Ryan. And you, sir, have been very clear about your mother's access. After a few more questions, she left, assuring us that Karen would not be allowed back. The rest of the labor was still incredibly hard, but with Karen gone, a strange sense of peace settled over the room. Hours later, our beautiful daughter, Sophia, was born. As I held her in my arms, small and perfect, all the fear and anger seemed to melt away, replaced by an overwhelming love. Ryan was crying too, kissing our daughter's head, then mine. She's safe, he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. She's safe, Emma. We never heard from Karen again. Not directly. She tried a few more times through other family members, but Ryan had drawn a line in the sand, and the family eventually followed his lead, tired of her drama and lies. Some of them even apologized to me. It wasn't the ideal family situation, but holding Sophia, seeing Ryan finally stand up for us, I knew he had one.